Europe, 20,000 years ago. A group of hunters watches a herd of steppe bison grazing at the edge of a cliff. The tribe's chief, drawing closer, gives the signal to begin the hunt. With a loud cry, the hunters rush toward the animals. At a critical moment, they throw their spears, frightening the bison and driving them toward the cliff. One by one, the herd plunges over the edge, except for one enraged bull. It charges at a young man, catching him with its horn. Despite the chief's efforts, the bull tosses Boy off the cliff. This is how the film Alpha begins. You are on Good Movie Channel. Enjoy watching. Story then shifts to 1 week earlier, when the tribe is preparing for the hunt. This hunt is crucial for these people, as it will provide food for the upcoming winter. According to local tradition, all young men in the tribe must craft a flint spearhead before the hunt. Quality of the spearhead determines if they are ready to join the hunting party. Among those deemed worthy is the chief's son, named Keda. All selected pretendants are then beaten to test their endurance, and that evening, they undergo an initiation rite symbolizing their passage into adulthood. The chief's wife, however, doubts whether their son is ready for such a demanding journey. She believes he follows his heart more than his spear. But Tao, the chief, remains confident in the boy. At dawn, the hunters say their goodbyes to their families. After receiving the shaman's blessing, the group sets off. In their search for game, they must cross dangerous lands. Not all will make it back. For generations, their tribe has followed this route, guided by stone markers left by their ancestors. Near the first marker, they encounter another group of hunters, causing tension. However, it turns out that the leaders of the two tribes are old friends. After exchanging greetings, the hunters unite and continue the journey together. This hunt is also an important test for young Keda, as he is the chief's son and will one day inherit his father's role. At camp, Tao lights a fire and asks his son to do the same. However, Keda quickly gives up without putting in enough effort, something the other hunters notice. The next day, after catching a wild boar, the chief asks his son to finish off the animal and hands him a knife. But once again, the boy falters, embarrassing his father in front of the tribe. Later, as the group eats, their campfire attracts the attention of a dangerous predator. A large cave lion sneaks through the circle of hunters and grabs young Kappa before anyone can react. Hearing the horrifying sounds in the darkness, the tribe realizes it's too late to save him. The next morning, they hold a memorial ritual for Kappa, symbolizing his passage into the afterlife. One of the following nights, the hunters take refuge in a cave. During this time, Keda is tattooed with a map of the stars. This way, he can navigate by the constellations and, if necessary, find his way home without relying on the stone markers. Later, his father explains the meaning of leadership, using the example of a wolf pack. There is always an alpha who leads the pack, a title earned through bravery and a kind heart. After a few more days, the group finally finds a herd of steppe bison. The hunt begins, and during the chaos, a bull knocks Keda off a cliff. He manages to grab hold of the rock face, but it crumbles, sending him tumbling down, hitting the ledges as he falls. About halfway down, Keda, now unconscious, lands on a large ledge. His father tries to climb down to him, but the rest of the squad stops the leader, claiming that the boy is already lost. While the hunters continue to butcher the bison, Tao remains at the cliff's edge, shouting his son's name, hoping to wake him. Days pass. Finally accepting his loss, grief-stricken father holds another memorial ritual. Group then heads home. Sometime later, a flock of vultures begins circling above Keda. When one bites him, Boy finally regains consciousness. Realizing his situation, he decides to climb down. The task seems nearly impossible. He injured his leg during the fall, and as he descends, a heavy rainstorm begins. Hanging onto the cliffside, Keda sees that the canyon below is now flooded. Gathering his courage, he jumps into the rushing water. When he comes to, his first act is to quench his thirst. Then, he resets his injured leg and creates a splint. Approaching the cliff, he sees a pile of stacked stones, which tells him the others have left him behind. These wild lands are very dangerous for humans, so Keda spends his first night perched in a tree. The next day, he finds a stream to collect water, but as he drinks, a pack of ferocious wolves begins stalking him. Barely making it to a tree in time, Keda even manages to wound one of the wolves. The pack keeps watch over their prey all night, but by morning, they leave, abandoning the wounded wolf. Initially, Keda plans to follow his father's teachings and finish off the weakened animal, but as he raises his spear, he decides against it. Instead, using a rope as a muzzle, he carries the wolf to a safer spot. Boy resolves to nurse the wild animal back to health. First, he treats his own wound, then learns to hunt, and finally, he manages to start a fire. By tending to the wolf, Keda gradually earns its trust, and by feeding it, he demonstrates his dominance over it. Time passes as both of their injuries heal. Winter is approaching, and Keda needs to return home as soon as possible. The next morning, after saying goodbye to the wolf, he sets off on his journey. Despite Keda's efforts to send the wolf away, it chooses to stay by his side. As they travel, they begin to hunt together, and their relationship evolves into one of mutual respect and friendship. By day, they find food, and by night, they warm themselves by the fire. Keda names the wolf Alpha. Soon the weather turns colder, and the pair are forced to continue their journey across the snow-covered land. One night, while resting, a group of wolves approaches them. Keda immediately grabs his spear, ready to fight, but Alpha calmly walks toward the wild animals. It turns out they are Alpha's former pack. They don't bother Keda and simply leave. Realizing that Alpha has found his own, Keda allows his friend to go with them. And just like that, our character is left alone again. In such harsh conditions, it becomes harder for Keda to find food. After wandering for some time, he spots a pack of wolves feeding on a carcass on a frozen lake. Recognizing Alpha, he runs toward them, but the ice beneath him cracks and he falls into the freezing water. To avoid drowning, Keda is forced to shed his heavy clothes. Alpha comes to his rescue, helping him out of the water, and from that moment on, Wolf stays with the guy. Keda is now weak, but he continues his journey home. One day, he notices tracks in the snow. Following them, he finds a frozen man sitting outside a shelter. Keda searches the shelter for food but finds nothing. He takes the man's hunting bow and arrow, thanks him for the gift, and continues on his way. Later, in the middle of a snowstorm, Keda and Alpha take refuge in a cave to escape a pack of hyenas. However, they encounter another dangerous predator inside. Alpha engages in a fierce battle with the beast, giving Keda the chance to take aim and shoot it with the bow. The tiger is defeated, but Alpha is gravely wounded and struggles to walk. By this time, Keda is seriously ill, coughing up blood. Both are nearing the end of their strength. Soon, Alpha can no longer walk, and Keda is forced to carry the wolf. In moments of despair, he remembers his family, which helps him keep hope alive. At last, Keda finds his village. Summoning the last of his strength, he staggers toward his family and collapses. His mother, overjoyed, bursts into tears, and his father tells him how proud he is. After receiving their congratulations, Keda points to Alpha and asks them to help the wolf. In the final scene, the tribe's shaman performs a healing ritual, during which Alpha gives birth to a pup. To Keda's surprise, Alpha is revealed to be a pregnant female. The shaman lifts the pup high into the air and presents it to the tribe. At the end of the film, humans and their domesticated wolves head out on a hunt together. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the story, support the video with a like and leave your comment below. On this channel, you'll always find recaps of good movies,